Okay, guys, I developed a theory based on the solar flare theory on how to build a potential explosive power weapon of mass destruction, or for good will be a propulsion for a space vehicle using same concept as the solar flare. They use plasma and magnetic fields, and that causes a explosive power. And as we know, it can knock out the EMPs and all that stuff. But that's a different form of explosive power that we don't have at the moment. But my theory is that it can be done here on Earth, and I hope they use it for good and not for evil. The concept is pretty much a solar flare, magnetic fields when they burst and they break up, and the magnetic fields twist. When they twist, they break up, and right here it releases all these flares into CME, into the space, or sometimes direct hit into or sidewind the Earth itself. Well, my concept is simple: that it could be done, same concept as in the sun, using plasma and magnetic fields and so on. Pretty much we know, and my theory is that a solar flare can be just like a rubber band, where you twist a rubber band and twist and twist and twist, and then the rubber band will store the energy, and then once released, in this case in explosive power, the energy is released into CME. Well, anyway, here on Earth, the same concept like I'm explaining with the rubber band is if you have a toy airplane, a wooden one, and you have a rubber band, and you twist that rubber band, the propeller, and this rubber band stores that energy, and then when you let go of the propeller, the energy in this rubber band is released and causes the propeller to move, and then that way that little toy, lightweight toy plane can actually fly short distance, in like seconds, but because the propeller is moving and the energy stored in the rubber band is released, and it's moving the propeller to fly across the room. And same concept is the solar flare. As the solar flare is twisted and twisted and twisted, it stores that energy. So a magnetic plasma can actually store energy as it's twisted, just like a rubber band. It stores the energy. To me, the concept would be very simple in theory. If we could find a way, design batteries that can do that capability of storing energy by bending the plasma magnetic fields, just like the solar flare does. So we know it can be done. You watch the sun, and we know that energy store magnetic fields. So we know now that the magnetic fields, if they're actually to act like a rubber band, they can store energy. Well, if we can make a mechanism that that bends just like a rubber band, bends the magnetic field, you could create also a form of explosive power by actually making it where it actually breaks the bend. When you bend a rubber band, you bend it over and over to a point it breaks, and then explosive power comes out. Well, I'm sure you could design magnets, opposite, positive, negative magnets, just like they flip around opposite of the other, and you have positive, negative, and across, and then you have the other side, positive, negative, and they flip in opposite direction. And you flip in where the magnetic lines get crossed, and you do that often, spin it the opposite direction, where just like a rubber band, if it has enough power, like that's the key thing. If you have enough power and plasma, you could actually make it to a point where that energy is stored. Every time you spin it, you're storing energy. And that increase more power, and also you pump in more energy, and that plasma field of a magnetic field, or whatever you call it, it's twisted and twisted and twisted. You can add more energy by twisting it more and adding more power to it, so you can increase the yield by that to whatever you want to make it stronger, to whatever capability you want it to explode at higher yield or less yield. You just spin it more, you get more energy, and you spin it, and then that way it adds more energy to the twist of the magnetic field. And if you, for some reason, want to break that rubber band spinning action, maybe you could just pull back those magnetic fields, uh, bulk magnets on each side. You could spread them apart a little bit and then break it, or make it break, when that releasing that energy stored in that in ambient air, and then you got an explosion. So they could actually design a mechanical system, just like the atomic bomb, but it's not an atomic bomb. You could design a system, mechanical system, a country can, that eventually does the same thing as a solar flare. Twist the magnetic fields to create an explosion. Now, this explosion can be used for a weapon of mass destruction, or could be used for a good purpose, which is as the explosion explodes, as the kink and the rubber band breaks, releases the energy, you have a propulsion source for a rocket or space vehicle using plasma magnetic fields. As you spin those opposite direction, those magnetic fields, you break those. Every time you break it, you have an explosion charge, and that can be used for propulsion. So in theory, my concept's pretty simple. Using space vehicles, using this same form of propulsion that the solar flare is made of. So the way the solar flare works is the same way we could use propulsion vehicles in the future. Also, the spinning and winding up the stores energy like a rubber band can be used on a massive scale. Probably a battery of some sort for a spacecraft stores that energy for long voyages. So it could be used for storage of energy as a spinning thing, like a rubber band. And once released, it could actually use that for other purposes. But what I'm trying to say is that it could be used a new form of explosive power, not like the atomic bomb. This is totally different. This is an explosive of magnetic field, and with it EMP and basically it's a different form of explosive power, a totally different form that has EMP with it, but the concept of explosive power is totally different because it resembles a explosive solar power event. Pretty much the same concept. Um, Imagine a country designing this, where they have miniaturized it to a point where it actually uh, spins the magnetic fields, and they able to break the the magnetic field, just like when a CME burst and spits out the energy into space. So CME, solar flare, and that explosive power has a lot of power. So if we can actually miniaturize it to that technology, it can be used for propulsion. Well, anyway, that's just a concept, and that's all it is: a theory, a concept, and now it's if a country actually develops this technology using my theory and a new form of propulsion, also a new form of a explosive power, and hopefully they use it for good and not for destruction.